And so I believe that I am fully supported in everything that I do, everything, even my perceived mistakes. They're always divinely timed. Everything is playing out as it should for the greater good. And we have, we all have these human brains that try to tell ourselves stories to keep us safe, but actually induce fear and anxiety. I just I know how the brain works, and I teach this to my clients, and I'm just very good at noticing when there's a negative story and rewriting that.
Welcome back to the Happy Positive Energy Game podcast with me, your host, Luke Anning. I hope all you beautiful people are feeling bright and warm. And if not, that is exactly why we are here today. I've got an incredible guest, an incredible episode for you guys who are in love with mindset and in love with intuition. You are going to absolutely love this one. I have got Jenna Holloway, who is a subconscious coach who incorporates hypnotherapy and her NLP practitioner work and EFT. And she's a multi-award winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. Her purpose is to help mission-led business owners and visionaries who want to inspire change by leading the way in a space that otherwise may feel unnerving and too difficult. She's the host of the Bigger Than You podcast. And Jenna, it's an absolute honor to have you here.
Hi, Luke. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
You're so welcome. So, Jenna, I'm curious, what triggered you to start your journey of practitioner and coaching and mindset and then venturing on into the business coaching sector? Like, what triggered all of that?
I feel like this is going to get deep very quickly, Luke. I thought so. Pardon?
It does on this podcast, so you're
Good.
good.
So before my life now, before this business, I used to be a secondary languages teacher, and I was, really keen, like your keenest teacher going. I threw everything into it, my heart, soul, and I thought I would be a teacher forever. And then things changed. I went on quite a difficult infertility journey. Me and my husband, it took us years to get our children. We've been blessed with twin girls, and it was during my maternity leave, and actually the first day that I stepped foot back in the school building after having my girls, that I realized it's no longer like I say aligned now. Like I use that language now all the time, but I didn't know anything about alignment back then. I just knew that my heart wasn't in this anymore, and that there was something else out there for me. And during my whole journey with infertility, I got into spirituality and law of attraction and things like that. And when that happened for me, that's when things turned a corner, and life started to, my dreams started to come true. Basically, we had the round of IVF that was successful, and so yeah, I became this sort of spiritual person that trusted in intuition and just followed my heart. And it just happened. I wanted to get into coaching and just followed the steps that got in my way, and it worked perfectly. And that's what I teach now. It's, what you want to create, you can create if you believe that you can, and you follow your intuition. You don't need to know the bigger picture, you just follow the next step. So I trained in hypnotherapy, and then I started my business, and I just followed my intuition every step of the way, and it's evolved in the most amazing way. And I've only really, it's not even been 2 years since I've had this business, and yeah, it's just been the most incredible journey.
That's incredible. It's almost like I'm in a similar space where it's almost 2 years since I've officially had the business as well. So it's amazing to see you having progressed so quickly after such like a down part, so to speak.
Mm.
So what's the difference between Jenna then and Jenna now?
Jenna as a teacher.
Yeah, so like what's the difference
Yeah.
between you as a whole, as a person, your mindset, your beliefs?
That's such a good question. I've never been asked that before. Um, I'm the same person, but I'm more free. I remember feeling this complete feeling of freedom. When I left teaching, I was no longer, I didn't have to conform to the expectations of being a teacher. Like I I can be myself and my fully expressed self. So, I have my own podcast and I am me on that podcast, and I've got like former students listening and following me and
Mm.
and all of that. And I know that, and what I teach is that when you are fully yourself and you live life authentically, then you're a beacon of inspiration for others. And so it just feels so good to experience life being myself. And I'm quite passionate, so when when I'm passionate about something, I throw in the old f-bomb,
Mm.
and that obviously was never allowed during teaching. So I am
Mm.
the same person, but I'm able to be more me. And in terms of freedom, my life has changed so much, and I've grown my business the way I've wanted to, because my why is
Mhm.
my girls, and I want to have a business that allows me the freedom to be there whenever, like all the time, any sports day, any parents, even anything, I'm there for my girls. And so the freedom aspect is the most important thing for me. um but in
Mhm.
terms of, and confidence, I think confidence massively is a thing as well. I've always been confident, but to know that what I'm doing now, I am a role model for others, and to just walk my talk. I feel like it's really, really cool to walk my talk. And so I get bolder in terms of, whenever I get an intuitive nudge, I follow that. I don't question it, because my intuition has amplified so much since I began really listening and really following it. So I've got bolder in my action
Mhm.
taking. I've got like much more grounded in my self trust. Again, I've always had self trust,
Mhm.
but I think like the best parts of me of are shining brighter now, because I have allowed that space for them to do so. Does that make sense? Does that answer the
Mhm.
question? I think so.
Yeah, for sure. I think it does. And I wanted to pick up on something that came up
Mm.
for me. Is what is something that you're really passionate about in terms of the false beliefs that you had as a teacher?
False beliefs I had as a teacher. I don't think. In what context?
So going back to your past self likely had some limitations on yourself. So
Mm.
curiosity, I know you've kind of brushed on those limitations, but what's something that you're really passionate about now that is a reflection of where you were?
What's coming to mind is how fast things can change, and how fast you can create what you want to create. When you work on your mindset, like I'm really, really blessed. I do subconscious reprogramming, and the mind is always listening. So whenever I'm working with a client, my subconscious mind is listening, and of course it's always solution focused. So I'm helping them achieve their version of what they want to create. And so my mind's always listening. So I am basically having my own healing the whole way, and giving my own mind the opportunity to grow and expand and create what is possible for me. So and in my work, it's evolved massively from when I first trained. Obviously, I've got my skill set of hypnotherapy and the other modalities that I use, but I have evolved my methodology to not just incorporate like the neuroscience teaching and the subconscious reprogramming, but it's so much about energy and alignment and intuition and manifestation and the universal laws. And it's this beautiful blend of all three that allows us to create what we see in our mind's eye, what we hear. Like I literally believe we have this soul's purpose to live out, and many of us hold ourselves back with the limiting beliefs and the conditioning from our childhood that stops us from living out our soul's purpose. And when you kind of strip all of those, when you unlearn essentially all of that misguided conditioning that happens just because of the way the brain is. We program ourselves as a child with an immature brain. We don't understand nuances, we don't understand context, we just have experiences, and we make those experiences mean something about us, and we form a limiting belief, and then that limiting belief stays in the subconscious mind into adulthood, and then you're trying to live your life the way you want to, but you get stuck not being able to achieve what you want to achieve, because consciously you know what you want to create, but subconsciously, if your subconscious identity is not in alignment with what you consciously want to create, your subconscious is going to hold you back time and time and time again. So when we create, like when we reprogram the subconscious mind to be in alignment with what you want to achieve, and let go of the limiting beliefs that were formed during childhood, then you can manifest super super quickly. Because with manifestation, there's no time construct. Anything that you desire, anything that you can visualize, you can create. It's just about getting in alignment with that, in terms of, we are a vibrational
Mhm.
being, we are a frequency, we're living life at a frequency, and our dreams are a frequency too. It's just about getting in alignment so that we can bring it into reality. There's no difference between a small goal and a massive goal, and there's no like time attached to how long it takes to manifest a small goal and how long it takes to manifest a massive goal. There's no time. The only limits that we put on it is our expectations. So when we understand all of this, we can create really really fast, and I can manifest super quickly now, um, because
Mhm.
because of all of what I walk my talk on it all. So yeah, it's just really really powerful, really exciting as well, to live this for myself, but also see it happening for my clients as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear that. So when you start shifting your mindset, what might be some of the blocks that you start to have as you're going along that road of transformation?
Yeah, on some level there is always a not good enough or not worthy piece. Obviously there's I mean, are we coming at this from a business owner perspective or just life in general?
What comes up, whatever comes up for you is good.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, for business owners, it's money mindset. That is always there, because growing up, we get told like money doesn't grow on trees. And, there is always money mindset work to be done. So that's a given. That's always there. But as well as that, there is, unless this work has already been done, there is a worthiness piece usually. I'm not worthy for XYZ, or I'm not good enough piece. And it's very nuanced. You can have this on so many different levels, and it's all down to the experiences that you had during childhood and what that you made those experiences mean. um so so I can't remember what the original question was, Luke, sorry.
You're good. So what are some of the obstacles that might come up as you start this journey of transformation?
Yeah. Okay. So if you've got a subconscious limiting belief that I'm not good enough for, let's say, for example, you're in business and you're working with your clients at the moment, but they don't really truly light you up, and you actually want to work with
Mhm.
clients that are maybe more experienced, or more evolved, whatever. That's your dream client, but you're holding yourself back from that because you don't believe that you can yet. Maybe you're new in business and you're like, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that, I don't have enough experience, or whatever the story is that you're telling yourself. Underneath, it's because there's a worthiness issue. Okay, so when you believe that you're worthy, you'll take the action necessary to make those things happen. But when you have that worthiness limiting belief, which most people have on some level, to some people it's super obvious and they know they've got it, to others they don't know they've got it, and they struggle with things like procrastination or lack of clarity or perfectionism or poor boundaries or people pleasing. All of these things are prevalent in their life, but they don't know that at the root cause of it, it's a limiting belief that's holding them back. Because everything we do, or 95% of what we do, is subconscious. We're driven by what's going on in the
Mhm.
subconscious mind. And we live our life filtering. Our subconscious mind is filtering our experience and showing our conscious mind what is relevant to us. So we don't live the life that we could live if we believed that we were worthy. Because if we believed that we were worthy, we'd see the opportunities, because it would be on this filter. It's called the reticular activating system, but basically it's this filter in the mind that decides what you're going to see and what opportunities are going to be shown to you, what you're going to be able to attract in your life. And so when you don't believe you're worthy, you're not going to be shown the same opportunities as you would if you believe that you're absolutely worthy of that dream client, whatever. And so because at the root of it, you have this subconscious limiting belief that will be your reality, because your subconscious mind drives how you feel in certain situations. So if for example, you're holding yourself back from working with this higher level client, for example, or more experienced business owner, whatever your dream client is, and you're not yet working with them, you're going to be holding yourself back from that on some level. And the reason why is because it doesn't feel safe in your nervous system for your body to work with that. Okay. Or it might be charging premium prices, for example. Whatever it is, you have a life that is safe for you and your body and nervous system to live. And anything outside that is deemed unsafe. And your brain will not let you experience something sustainably that is not safe for you, because your brain only cares about keeping you alive. It doesn't care about your confidence or your happiness or your success, none of that. So it keeps you living a life that is safe for your nervous system. And so therefore we have this thing called an upper limit, whereby you're not going to go above that because it's not safe for your nervous system. Because because your programming says that, because your programming says that you're not worthy of earning more or working with the premium clients or whatever it is. So when you do this reprogramming work, you make it safe for your nervous system to earn at a higher level, or you make it safe for your nervous system to experience more joy, for example. This upper limit thing I'm talking about, it's a bandwidth. And we can have a financial bandwidth or a happiness bandwidth. And it literally is the patterns that you live in your life, and you don't overcome them. You don't grow through them. You don't get to experience more unless you allow it to be safe within your nervous system. And this is why I think it's 75% of lottery jackpot winners go broke after 2 years. They lose all their money because it's not safe for them to hold on to that money. They haven't done the nervous system regulation to expand that financial bandwidth. And so they lose it all. Some of the mindset, money mindset work is huge. There's so many nuances to it. But some people have the issue where they're fine earning the money. They can get the clients, they can earn the money, but they can't seem to hold on to it. And that's down to the programming. Everything is down to the subconscious patterns and programs that are running. And those patterns and programs are running because of the experiences that we had as a child, the role models that we had. And it's often when we talk about this context, it's about like trauma and major life situations, but really actually it's so interesting where these limiting beliefs are formed. Because in the work that I do, we can go back. Essentially, when you have a feeling, any feeling that you have in your business or in your life, if it's negative and it feels heavy, you have experienced that emotion before. And it goes all the way back to the first time you experienced that and what you made that mean in that moment, that experience. So when we do this work, we can actually we can tap into that emotion. We can go back to that root memory where you first felt that, and look at that from the bigger picture. Because every time it's from childhood or early adulthood, and you didn't have the bigger picture in that moment, you didn't have the life experience or the understanding of an adult mature brain, and so you made that mean something. And that emotion that memory is always encoded with an emotion, and then it's kept there in this sort of like dashboard in the subconscious mind. And your brain, as I said, only cares about your safety. So anything that you're living now, like we're always living life through the lens of what we've experienced before. We are never ever experiencing life at face value. So when you feel something that is um anything less than neutral, anything that feels heavy or triggers you in a certain way, it's because subconsciously you're reminded of a previous experience and your brain is trying to keep you safe. And this is where the inner work is
Hmm.
so powerful, because when you do it, you literally create space for more expansion, more opportunities, a more fulfilling life, more joy, more abundance. And yeah, it's just
Mm.
amazing. I could talk for hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, the money mindset thing. It's I know it triggers a lot of people as well, because people are like, oh, like I really need money, like I need a lot, like especially people in that like poor background. And I think one of the beliefs that I worked over the last year was making money is hard. And
Most people
when you're
think
able to
that.
flip into the switch of like money is so easy to make, it's so easy, and
Yeah.
it actually really triggers people, because it's like so many people are stuck in that belief system. And I was watching a
Mm.
Dr. Jordan Peterson clip the other day, and he was saying about people being given $400 million, and he was kind of sat there saying, you know, what, you think that you could handle that responsibility, do you? Like, you who you don't even have a household budget, like, and you think you could handle the responsibility of handling $400 million? Okay, I'd like to see how that goes. And it was not in a cynical way, but it was just from an evidence point of view, where, if you don't have just those basic allocation pots set up and that locked in with your money mindset, then that's going to be a real problem. Like, when I remember I earned my first 10K cash month, as you would say in the business space. Next month I'd spent the entire thing, because that wasn't me feeling safe. I'd never saved up to that point. So
Mm.
of course I was going to spend it. And then I remember unpicking it, and it was like, I remember getting given money at Christmas from grandparents, and everybody was like, oh, so how are you going to spend it? How are you going to spend it? So there was always this
Yeah,
insinuation
that's
that
your
when I get
programming.
money, I'm meant to spend it. And that was my
Yeah,
programming, at least
yeah.
part of it. So I'm curious, Jenna, what's a programming that you're reworking at the moment?
Nothing currently. Oh, actually, let me think about that. No, I think I'm good. I've worked, like, it's consistently something that I'm very, very good at and have been doing for a long time. So I've got myself to a place where my
Mm,
tolerance to resistance is super, super low. So I'm not available for
mm,
anything that is not good for me in a way that, doesn't support me. So for example, I've got good at thinking through the version of what's my next level self, what would my next level self do, and
mm,
this plays out in my business and my life, because you cannot compartmentalize energy. There is no good being, a shit hot business owner, getting everything all done fine, brilliant, scaling your business, if in your personal life, sorry, I have already sworn, Luke, I hope that's okay. Oh, do you
you're
swear
good.
on here?
You're good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, we
There's no
swear on
point
here.
having everything organized and all your pots sorted and everything strategized and everything going brilliantly in business. There's no point doing that if your personal life is a shit show or your house is all over the place and you haven't got the support in that would support you. Like, whatever is bringing you down energetically in your personal life is going to be affecting you in your business as well. So I've got to a place where I move through anything that comes up for me really quickly. And recently, actually, I have invested in another team member because I recognize that me and my VA, I've got visions and dreams for this year, and I really want to go places and want to make it work fast. And I recognize that I was slowing myself down because we didn't have the capacity in the business. So I'm as soon as I recognized that, I made steps. I've got another VA in the team. But I'd like to go back to January. Actually, it was this time last year, where I did my
Mm,
own inner work, and it was such beautiful play out of life. It's exactly what I believe. You get the
mm,
experiences that you need in the moment, because I walked into this healing with my eyes shut. I had no idea what I was getting into. And so what happened was I worked with my trainer to I invested basically to work with my trainer, my NLP trainer, and he's trained me in some other things. I invested in him to go through what I had just trained in as a client, because for me, the ROI was, if the return on investment was, if I had experienced this from the perspective of a client, I will be able to make the experience better because I will have had that
Mm-hmm.
empathetic understanding of the process. So I did it from, a business sense
Mm-hmm.
point of view. I didn't think I had any healing to do. I didn't think at all that I was going to uncover anything, but fucking hell, I walked into something that just blew me away, and that was that I had something called trauma drive. And so I have always been a serial high achiever. Whatever I've put my mind to, I've been successful. And um I didn't realize that I had this thing called trauma drive. And what this is, and everybody to some degree has healing to do, obviously. Yeah, everybody has healing to do. And some people feel the void. If there's a void to fill, they'll fill it with whatever it is, too much screen time, or comfort eating, whatever it is, all the stuff. But one of the hidden ways to fill a void is working and achieving. And so I had this and I didn't know I had it. I would just be obsessively working because the limiting belief that I had, that I didn't know I had, was I am not good enough as I am unless I'm achieving. So I had this subconscious desire program running that you just have to achieve, Jenna. You just have to keep going and keep working hard and achieve, because unless you're achieving, you're not good enough. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had no idea that this was a thing. And I did the work, obviously, the work that I now do with clients. I experienced this from a client perspective, and it comes from growing up. I grew up with business owner parents, and one of the businesses that my parents had was a pub. And if you know anyone that runs a pub,
Mm-hmm.
it's very full on. It's a lot of hours. It's a huge commitment. And so I have an amazing work ethic, and I have so much to thank for my upbringing and the way things happen. But I internalized with my immature child brain that I wasn't good enough unless, like, I wasn't worthy of attention unless I was achieving something. That's so wrong. That's so misguided. But
Mm-hmm.
this is how limiting beliefs are formed, because when you're a child, you have an immature brain. You don't understand nuances. You don't understand context. You don't understand the bigger picture. Of course, my parents loved me for who I am. I had a wonderful childhood, but my childhood immature brain made the experiences that I had mean that I just wasn't good enough unless I was achieving. And so I had no idea that that was a thing. And so, having done that work a year ago, I can say that my experience has just been amazing. And one of the things that people worry about if they're high achieving, but they potentially have this trauma drive too, they will worry that if they do the inner work, that they won't achieve as much, or they won't be as driven,
Mm-hmm.
they won't be as motivated. And that's so not true, because I've been on this journey myself, and if anything, I'm achieving even greater things, because what I've done with this healing is I have created space for me to achieve without the need to fill a void. So now, and one of the things that have come out from doing this healing last year is that I am 100% fully expressed in everything that I do. I know that I am good enough, worthy, and internally validated, that I don't ever worry about how I come across, or whether people are judging me or anything like that. I feel, because I've done this healing, I feel whole. And so I don't ever worry about anything. I don't worry about the safety of my business. I don't worry about not finding clients. I don't worry about what people think of me. Nothing, because I always feel validated and good enough, because I validate myself. And that is just the most incredible feeling, to just feel safe, grounded, confident, trusting, and yes, I work just as hard before, but it's on my terms and it feels good. And I'm not trying to obsessively fill a void by working. So yeah, long answer, but
Mm,
honestly, it's just the most incredible thing to go from
mm,
that when I didn't even know I had it to now where I just have success from a place of joy and freedom.
mm. I'm curious, what are the consistent practices that you upkeep that not keep you in this safe space, but I think that is kind of the question that I'm asking. Like, what are the consistent steps and practices that you put in place within your daily to weekly life?
I love that question. And it's just being supported all the time because we are constantly manifesting, we're co creating with the universe. And so it's the energy underneath our thoughts and our actions that is read by the universe, and then we get a reflection back of that. And so I believe that I am fully supported in everything that I do, everything, even my perceived mistakes. They're always divinely timed. Everything is playing out as it should for the greater good. And we have, we all have these human brains that try to tell ourselves stories to keep us safe, but actually induce fear and anxiety. I just I know how the brain works, and I teach this to my clients, and I'm just very good at noticing when there's a negative story and rewriting that. So, for example, just a little example, I last week accidentally voice noted my one of my clients when it was a voice note that was supposed to go to my VA, and it was just a
Mm,
message saying, no, I don't want to take that action because I don't want to be a cog in the system. We're building this business so that it's the same next year. I want the systems in place that are going to support us for a whole year. So let's not do it this way. Let's do it another way. And I accidentally sent it to one of my clients. And in that moment, I could have made myself feel awful. I could have been so embarrassed. And how unprofessional does that look? Well, actually, no, I didn't let myself feel any of that. I was just like, whoopsie, mistakes happen,
mm,
and just apologize. And then later on, I had that client just a few hours later. We had a session, and it became relevant within our coaching that me having sent that voice note by accident was an example to the point that I was then making later about, I can't remember what the exact conversation was, but it turned out, and I just said, there you go, everything for a reason. So even your mistakes are divinely timed. If you allow yourself to believe that, then you'll see it working out for you. But if I had allowed myself to feel embarrassed or shit or berated myself, I'd have brought my vibe down and I'd have let that affect me for the rest of the day. And actually, it's
mm,
always about our mindset and how we feel. And so if you're a business owner listening to this, I would really truly just encourage you to put the relationship that you have with yourself first. Like, that first and foremost is the most important thing, because when you can put that first, and you'll just see that the results in your business, everything thrives when you thrive. So I'm trying to think of something that's a little bit more tangible. What do I actually do that supports me? I think I'm not available for doing things that I don't want to do. So I flow with my energy. Um, and I just expect to feel good, and I prioritize that. It's about, like, so much is about mindset, and where you put your focus, you
mm,
put your energy. The universe doesn't say no. Okay, so if you're focusing on things that you don't like or things that piss you off, then you're putting your attention there, and you end up getting more of that. The universe doesn't say no, it just says yes.
mm,
So you cannot think, I don't want this to happen, because there's no don't. When you're thinking or saying you don't want something to happen, you're choosing to put your attention and your focus there. Just focus on more of what you want, and then you will attract that
mm,
in. So that's one thing, just choosing joy, choosing joy. I'm just not available. Like I said earlier, my tolerance to resistance is very, very low. I'm not available for pointless negativity or, just my commitment to being in a high vibe state is really, really important. And obviously, like, don't get me wrong, like I do have, I am a human being. I have heavy emotions. Like I've got 4-year-old, they've just turned 4-year-old twins. They're really, really hard work sometimes. And so it's hard co-regulating 4-year-old twins. That in itself is a really hard job. So I do
Mm.
allow myself to feel, and I do, I do all of the things that keeps my mindset in a really good place. But I do that because the relationship with myself is really, really strong and committed to doing that. And the reason why this is so important for me, well, obviously it's a pillar in what I teach for all of my clients. It's so important for me that I walk my talk so that I show, my clients what is possible. But also, the number one strategy in my business is intuition, because the intuition has gotten me to where I am today. I hear the intuition, I do it, and I follow it. And in order for that to be a constant thing in my life, I need to be open to it. And so prioritizing myself, to keep my mindset and my vibration in a really good place, allows that intuition channel to stay open and allows me to be creative and follow my joy and all of those things. So yeah, it's just a real commitment to joy and to following my joy.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a really magical answer. I really like the point at the end that you made about the commitment to joy. It's like the commitment to positive thinking. There's a book by Dr. Joseph Murray. He's a subconscious mindset specialist, I think.
I've read it,
Um,
yeah. I don't
and
know if he's got more, but
there's
I've read
literally
one book by him.
yeah, there's literally a whole page of like affirmations where it's about committing to positive thinking. And I
Mm.
know affirmations aren't like the be all and end all, like there's often deeper work than just affirmations, but just that commitment to positive thinking can totally shift so much of what you're doing. Like you said, it's having that barrier up to unnecessary negativity that's
Yeah,
just not there. I think that
yeah.
comes on to the argument of people thinking about like toxic positivity. But I think
Mm,
in a way there's not, you can't ever have too much positivity, because I can't remember the formula on the top of my head, but for like every negative thing that you say about yourself or you do about yourself, you almost need like 5 times the amount of positivity to back that up, right?
yeah.
So
Just the
it's just
thing
really
on the
interesting that you're on that wavelength.
Yeah, the thing on toxic positivity, it's as long as you allow yourself to feel the harder emotions and work through them, and you don't just like slap on some positivity over the top and stop yourself feeling stuff. Like, we have feelings for a reason. Like, when we feel triggered, that's a good thing, because your emotions are a guide. Like, they're guiding you. So if you feel triggered by something, that is your opportunity to move through it and to work through it. And when you do the work, it's so much easier. You literally create space for more joy. I have an analogy that I use with my clients, and it's really powerful. So if you've got your own business, you can think of the house as the business, but if not, you can think of it as your life. So you have your life or your business represented as this house. And currently, whatever situations are in your business or your life, those are represented by guests in your house. And outside of the house, standing on your doorstep, are all of your wildest dreams. The things that you daydream about, the things that you just would love to become your reality, they're literally standing outside your house, but they know that your house is currently full. There's no space for them. So they're not going to press the doorbell until there is space. And so anything in your house that is misaligned, could be in the form of relationships, could be in the form of things that you're doing that just don't light you up anymore, um, or limiting beliefs. Like, limiting beliefs represent a big, great, big, massive elephant, because they're holding you back from achieving your
Mhm.
dreams. So when you create space by getting rid of anything that's misaligned or doing the work on your limiting beliefs, you are literally creating space in that house. And then your wildest dreams can press the doorbell and come on in. And it's just incredible teaching this concept to my clients, doing the work, getting rid of the elephants, getting rid of the misaligned stuff, creating that space. And then obviously there's a little bit of a time delay where you wait for the universe to sort of catch up to the energy that you've put out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it takes a little bit of time. What you put out, then you get back. But then when it drops in those aligned dream things that they wanted to manifest that they've just not been able to, then it pops in. It's just the most magical thing. And also just on manifesting, everything's a manifestation, so you can fine tune your awareness to everything that's manifesting. Like recently I decided I want to guest on more podcasts this year because I've got my own podcast and I absolutely love it. But I realized I am really in I'm really in my flow state when I'm talking about what I do. And what better way than to do more of that than to guest on other podcasts? And so
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, that was one of the things on the doorstep outside for me. And because I am very good at manifesting things fast. Here we are literally, like, I invited you on my podcast yesterday, Luke, and then this is happening today. And stuff can happen very, very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. But also, I just wanted to, you know, the actual point that I made is that everything is a manifestation and we're constantly manifesting. So you can fine
Mm-hmm.
tune your awareness to this at a really, really tiny level. So for example, if you think, oh, I've got a little bit too much on today, I just feel like I want a bit more time. And then later on, something gets, like, somebody cancels or something with you, that your negative human brain, if you've got an automatic negative thinking, you might be like, oh, for goodness sake, like, why am I being cancelled on? But actually what that is the manifestation. You asked for that because earlier on in the day you're like, I just need a bit more time. So there's me teaching you
Mm-hmm.
about, again, how to rewrite the story. Notice your thoughts, notice how you're reacting to things, because actually, if somebody cancels on you, go back earlier. Like, did you desire more time? Did you desire more space? Well, there you go, you've got it. So everything's a manifestation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. A mentor of mine, Rob Dial, said every single word and thought that you have is a manifestation of your
Mhm.
reality right now. So
Yeah,
it's really on you to take responsibility to change. So
yeah.
we did our earlier tradition earlier, and if you've listened to this podcast, you'll know what the second one is. But podcast changed my life in a nutshell. And from one podcast, I quit my job, ended up working in music events, and then that eventually transpired to me coaching and ended up to this podcast today. So the question for you, Jenna, and it's more of a speaking opportunity, I suppose, but if you were reflecting back on a past version of yourself who was possibly in some scarcity mindset, some limited mindset, and they were on the fence of stepping into something new. It could even be a business owner who's thinking about dropping hundreds of hours in a trauma drive down to half of the amount of hours they're doing. Like, what would you want to preach or speak to that person to really help them move forwards in an area of their life that they're struggling?
Definitely pay attention to your intuition and trust it. Human brain always tries to sabotage and throw spanners in the works in the form of procrastination or self-doubt, but actually your intuition is always right because it knows what's best, and you'll never ever have the big picture. You'll just get the next step. So pay attention. Like, once you finish this podcast, just stop. Like, don't get on with your day, don't press play on it and something else. Just stop for a moment and just think, what has my intuition been nudging me to do that I haven't yet done? And it can be the most minor thing, like, oh, um, book the dentist appointment, you know, or whatever it is, but just follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Practice following your intuition in, like, in a low stake way, because it's always guiding you. And you can build your self trust by following, like, low stake intuitive nudges. And just the more you do it, the more it amplifies. So the more you can, yeah, I don't need to meditate every day to hear my intuition. Like, it just comes in all the time now because just I've practiced. And so the more you practice following your
Mm-hmm.
intuition, the more clearly it will come, and the more, like I said earlier, it literally is the number one strategy in my business. And it's just incredible. So trust yourself and trust your intuition. And if you notice um, fear-based thoughts coming up, coach yourself around that. Choose a different story. Allow yourself to feel and be supported, and you will be.
Mm. That's really, really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your time, for coming on this podcast. And where's the best places for people to reach you?
It's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me. People can reach me. My Instagram is my main place that I love to be. So you can reach me at I am Jenna Holloway. And I'd love to extend a little invitation to your listeners, if I may, Luke.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you are in business, or you have a business that you would like to start, but you've been holding yourself back, I would love to offer you a free subconscious block assessment, whereby I would just listen to you speak and ask you a few questions and intuitively reflect back what I think the block is for you. And through that, that kind of gives you some self-awareness to work through. So yeah, if you feel like you would like that, just DM me over on Instagram, just subconscious block. And yeah, I love to offer that out with them.
Plug me into it. I'll wrap into it as well.
Yeah, go
With
for
that
it, Luke.
said,
I would
Jenna,
love that. Absolutely.
with that said, I appreciate you so, so much coming on to here. And guys, if you took anything from it, don't just like we said, listen to this podcast and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go on my day. Like, take the time to do that intuitive work. Like, go back, recycle this podcast, listen to it again, and then have a little bit of a think of who do you know who would massively, massively benefit from this podcast. It could be people on your Instagram, it could be anyone else, but we don't grow without you guys. So just want to let you know we appreciate you for being here. We just crossed 10,000 plays. So big up the lot of you. So with that
Amazing.
said, keep moving forwards. Don't ever stop. We appreciate you and we hope you have an awesome day.
Thank you so much.